Good morning, everybody. Hi, Jen.
Hi, Sharon. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm looking out at a very gray sky and a snowy yard,
Yeah,
and I'm wondering how we could possibly be talking about summer.
I know. That reminds me, I have to go fill the bird feeders. I know you and I both enjoy our bird
Yes,
feeders.
these are the winter tasks that we need to do
Yes,
for
it's
our sake and the birds' sake.
exactly, and it's one of the few things that is giving me joy in some of these gray, gloomy days that we have here in Cleveland, Ohio.
I know February's
Other
tough.
times of the year, it's fantastic. Definitely don't take it off your list, but maybe
Don't
just
take what off your list.
Cleveland.
Oh no.
I mean, you should still come, but just don't come now. Like
No,
maybe
don't come now. Oh
March,
no, it's
April.
gorgeous much of the rest of the year. Um, but summer, so your girls are back at college now, right?
Uh-huh. Yes, they are.
When is the last time they were both actually away at school?
Yes, they're both actually away at school and they're actually doing real in-person school. And apropos to our conversation today about summer jobs, one of my kids just texted me last night and said, "Hey, can you find my planner that I think I might have left under my bed or in my closet, or it might be up on the third floor? Because I need some stuff that was in there to build up my resume." And I was like, "Ooh, resume. We're talking about maybe getting a job." So yeah, they're already thinking about summer plans.
Wait, do you have a graduate this year? No, not
I
yet.
do, yes. Yeah, this is
That's
not
shocking.
that's not the one who contacted me for the resume
Okay.
information, but that one, I think her backup plan, if she has something she's trying to do after graduation, but if that doesn't pan out, I think she's going to be back working at Sephora, which turned out to be a really, really good experience for her. And I've always said to my kids, you need to work retail or a restaurant job at sometime in your life because it gives you some extremely valuable life skills in how to deal with customers.
Yeah.
Like you have to have that job where you have to punch in and somebody tells you to wear the ugly uniform and you have to follow their rules. You have to have that job.
I completely agree. I feel like we often say, "Oh, you need to have those kinds of jobs so you know that you want to finish college and not have that kind of job." But I kind of feel different about it. I feel like
Same.
you should have those jobs to realize how hard they are and
Yes, absolutely.
how hard the people are working who are doing them, and to have respect for those jobs, and to not think they're just like some throwaway kind of easy job that
No, they're not. Yeah. Did you have any of those jobs? I had some. Tell me about what were some of your jobs,
well,
your building jobs, as I call them.
I had a lot. I worked at McDonald's for a while. That
Great
was
uniforms there. Everybody looks good in whatever.
It was disgusting. I mean, the grease that would be all over my black pants and shoes that I was required to wear.
Mm-hmm.
My feet would hurt so much, and people were so mean.
Oh,
The customers were mean. Not all of them. Like you'd have the older gentleman who would come up and like give you presents because he was lonely, and it wasn't really creepy. It was just sad. And I worked in a factory for a couple of years too.
Wow, that's more standing on your feet job, probably, right?
We did get stools sometimes. It depended where you were on the factory line that day. You'd go in and punch the clock, of course, and you had to wear your hairnet because I worked in a perfume factory, and the safety goggles. And you'd go to the list and see what assembly line you were assigned to that day, and then go find your seat. And then bells would ring for break and lunch, and there were also bells that rang to rotate. Like it was, and I met so many interesting people there who did this as their career and had all kinds of stories, and it was just a fantastic experience, actually.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I had some of the same. I worked my first job. I remember I was 16 And I had been doing babysitting and camp counseling, and I had decided, I think at the age of 16, I was too old for that, and I didn't want to do that anymore, but I didn't really have an alternative plan. So in my recollection, the way this went, and I think this is probably accurate, is that Barbara Gray, my mother, drove me right up to the entrance of our local country club and said, "They're taking applications, hop on in." I was like, oh, I guess I'm getting a job.
I have this memory. I'm the youngest of 5, like you are. And for years and years before I was even eligible for a job, the whole dance of my mother and my siblings about getting the summer job.
Mm-hmm.
And it took on this pattern, like,
yeah,
there would be the interest in a summer job from the teenager, but then the parent, my mom in this case, saying, okay, now what are we going to do about it? Okay, I will drive you up to the place. Okay, you're going to go in, and do you know what you're going to say? You're going to ask for the manager. You're going to ask for an application. And then the same thing would happen, and whoever it was would be nervous to go up and ask. And like the process of getting the job was instructive too, not just having the job.
Absolutely. And I remember I walked in, I filled out the application. I think I pretty much got hired on the spot. And what I remember is that they said, now in the future, you come to the back entrance. And I was like, oh, like that was my first little inkling, like, there's a 2-tiered system here. You don't come in the front door when you're the employee, you have to go to the back door. And I remember things like, we had to wear pantyhose every day as a waitress. That was required. We didn't have hairnets, but we did have ugly, ugly polyester uniforms. And my feet hurt like crazy because you are on your feet all day long. So I quickly bought the ugly nurse shoes that I had thought I would never wear. And I became friends with the older waitresses there who showed me the ropes. And I quickly learned that there's some quid pro quo that goes on. Like they would say, hey, doll, go up and punch me in, because I would get my pantyhose on quicker than they could. And you're not really supposed to do that. No. However, you learned that there were certain things that it just like, oh, well, this is just the way this works. And the black and white rules that you might have thought you knew, you just learned that there are different nuances to every job. And yes. I had mean customers and I had great customers. My favorite was a guy who would every once in a while, you don't get tips when you waitress at a country club, because the waitress minimum wage was $2.01 an hour, but because we couldn't earn tips at the country club, they give you, I think it was $4 an hour. But this guy was so nice, and every once in a while he would shake your hand and say, that was a really nice meal. And then when you take your hand away, there'd be a $20 bill in your hand. And these are memories that I have forever. And I want my kids to have those experiences, and you want your kids to have those experiences. So what do we think the landscape is going to look like this summer?
It's tough. I mean, I know last summer was kind of a wash, and from our perspective, I had wanted my oldest, who was 14 last summer, to try to get a job, but then everything was closed and a mess. I think it's going to be better this year. It seems like it's better already. Like last year, our town pool was closed for the summer. But this year, this is where my oldest is applying for a job to be a pool attendant and locker room attendant.
Yeah, so they're taking applications.
If he ever hands it in. Yes, they are. They already had the information sessions.
Good.
The high school sent out information saying, if your kid is this age, they're eligible to apply for this job. And there was a Zoom session to learn about what it was. And they said, awesome. Here's the application. So that was good. And so I get the sense that some of the normal summer things like camps might be going too. Like my oldest volunteered before he was old enough to be an employee, to be a summer camp counselor. And that camp also seems to be running this summer. And my second child is applying to be a volunteer counselor there. So I don't know who, but I'm hopeful that
a real good first step, because the thing that I think holds our kids back, I remember my kids going in to put in resumes at local restaurants and places in the summer, and they always ask for prior experience, and they were stymied. They're like, I don't know, I don't have any prior experience. This would be my first job. And they don't understand that you can put things in there that were not necessarily paid, or that were not
we just had that conversation.
Yeah, like babysitting, that counts. That is a paid job, and that is something where you have to have responsibility, and but they don't necessarily see it that way. So I think a lot of times what holds our kids back is not understanding, what's the application going to look like, and how do I fill it in? And my kids would always say to me, I'd say, well, just go in and fill out the application. Like, Mom, it's all online now. Nobody wants you to come in. That can be true, but it's not always true. There are, especially with those smaller mom and pop places, going in and showing your face and showing some enthusiasm when you ask for the application is step one. And it's okay to do that. Even if they say, you know what, yes, we're hiring, but you need to go online. You've had an opportunity to make a first impression to show that you're interested.
Then when they see your application, they'll be like, oh yeah, that kid came up and asked about it.
Right.
And also, if it's a place your family's been shopping or eating, when you come up to the counter, they'll be like, oh yeah, this family, I've known them, or I've seen this kid before. That can help, but that's not necessary.
Yeah, but it's a good place to start. It was with something that's familiar to your kid. And I think sometimes they think, oh, I don't want to go work someplace where I don't want to work at Starbucks because I like Starbucks and then I'll never want to have it again. Or, maybe they have all these reasons why they don't want to go. But I think, our job as parents is to sort of help get them around some of those hurdles and position them to feel like they have the confidence to be able to just go in and ask. I mean, there is no downside to asking. I'm a big fan of saying, well, what's the worst that could happen?
Right.
They could say no.
And they might say also in some cases come back in a couple of months. But I do think now is the time to be asking, your kids' friends, parents. I think it's fine for the kid. I want the kid to do the application and to take initiative, but the asking around, I don't mind doing that for my kid, and asking the local Facebook group, hey, does anyone know what the opportunities in town are going to be for summer jobs this summer? And people will come up with all kinds of ideas that we never thought of. And then we can direct our kids.
Yeah, I think that's a great way we can be helpful without doing too much for them.
Mm-hmm.
I want to mention 2 resources that I only recently became aware of. One of them is the fact that LinkedIn has a student version.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know this. And it's worth taking a look at, especially if you have a little older teen. I think that might be a place where they could, first of all, you can do a resume online with LinkedIn, and it kind of guides you step by step through the process, and it will create a PDF of your resume. So with those people who do want you to apply online, you just basically push a button and it sends a PDF of your resume. And I think it also helps them connect with internships.
Okay.
Opportunities like that, or to find out who's hiring in their area.
Now,
so check LinkedIn for students, and then the other one is
before you go on to the other one, does it automatically transition you into adult LinkedIn once you hit a certain age, or do you just have to set up a separate profile, or do we figure it out as we go?
You know what? I don't know the answer to that.
All right, someone report back to us.
Somebody, or maybe I'll investigate it and try to report back. I feel like we're not very good about remembering to report back. But the other one is called Handshake, and that's one that a lot of colleges in their career offices use. But it's not specific to the college. It's for everything and everybody. Mm-hmm. So if you have a kid who's a little older and maybe they're looking for something that is more internship directed or career focused, I think those are 2 good places to go.
So what is Handshake? What is it? What does it do?
Handshake, I think, is it's sort of like a student version of LinkedIn. I don't personally know with Handshake, so I don't know what the differences are, but it's a good starting point to just kind of Google it and take a look and see if it's something that you can get your kid to take a look at.
Very cool. I'll put it on the to-do list for the
So see if I'll be interested to know if it's helpful, like for what ages it's most helpful. But it just kind of came on my radar this last.
Okay. So, very cool.
Yeah, but I think all the other traditional things that we know of are going to be needed. Babysitting always needed. people still have to work even during this pandemic and even from home. And if it's a family that you feel like you can create a unit with and have some ground rules, that might be a safe summer employment option for a teen.
Yeah.
And also, I know our colleague Jody one of her sons worked at a sleepaway camp last summer, and the sleepaway camps, I think, some of them have figured out ways to kind of create a bubble for their kids, and they are going to be needing teen counselors, I think, as well. So probably older teens, but that might be an option. And those, I think, will probably be recruiting now. So
Yes.
just a few ideas. Also, I think caddying at a golf
Yes.
is a good, safe outdoor. Golf has been open for the most part throughout the pandemic, so they need caddies.
And there's always entrepreneurial things too. Like one of our neighbor teens, the family had a power washer that they had purchased for some project around the house, and then the son decided to do this, offer power washing to neighbors and say, I will come and give you a bid and on your patio or your awning or whatever it might be. And there's always lawn mowing. I don't know how available that is in people's particular neighborhoods, but there's things like that. I told my son he should offer out the service of building furniture and assembling things. He loves to build, like if somebody wants their IKEA furniture built or something.
That's
I just
amazing.
think there's outside the box ways of see what your kid can do, and like if they can't get a regular job, there's probably something to keep them busy this summer, right?
Yes, that's going to be the name of the game, keeping them busy. And I think everybody's going to be craving something outside and off of the screens for the most part. So hopefully those opportunities will exist. If you have great ideas about what you think your kids are going to be doing summer, things you've heard about, we'd love it if you could put that in the comments and help other parents who are just starting to get this process going for their kids, because I know it doesn't look like summer, but it's coming, I promise.
Yep.
And we hope it'll be a little more open than it was last summer.
Sounds good. Well, thanks, Jen, for all this. It's been fun chatting as usual, and I can't wait to hear what our viewers have to say too.
Absolutely. Have a good morning, everybody.
Bye, everyone.